Hi, I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly, and this is Relationship Alchemy. Today we're talking about when you're in a bad mood, because this is something I see a lot in myself and in relationships, is that when we're in a bad mood, we often create more wreckage than we actually need to create. If we just did a few things differently, we could be in the bad mood and also not have as much residue in our relationships or in our life after the fact. The impetus for this episode is really my experience of having my phone pickpocketed recently in Paris. So Patrick and I went to Europe in June, and we were in Portugal, and then we went to Paris, and it was his first time being in Paris ever, and which I was super excited about. I've been there multiple times and love it, and I actually have family there. And we got together for dinner with my family, my cousins and my aunt, and then I took pictures of my cousins. It was the first time seeing them in many, many years, seeing them in person. It was really a beautiful dinner. And then as we were walking home, I got pickpocketed. So those pictures of my family didn't make it up into the cloud before I lost my phone, and they're gone forever. So I was really pissed about that. Actually, that was the thing I was pissed about the most, was losing those pictures of my cousins. My aunt refused to be in the picture, which is par for the course, but I did lose the pictures of my cousins. And it really made me mad. And we did the Find My Phone. We ran around and tried to catch the person who stole it, etc. And finally we gave up. We went back to the hotel and began shutting that shit down. Doing the Find My Phone thing, reporting it lost. We reported it stolen to AT&T, which is my carrier. So we not only reported it as stolen to the insurance. So a couple of tips here. I recommend, if you have an iPhone, get Apple Care Plus that covers theft, because let me tell you, that was incredibly efficient. I paid a small deductible, $160, $170, and that happened on a Tuesday, and by Saturday when I landed in LA, my new phone was waiting for me. So super worth it. Paid for itself. It's only $10 a month. This is not an ad for Apple Care Plus. I just had to throw that in there. The second super useful tip I'm going to give you about this, if you ever have your phone stolen, report it stolen to your carrier and have your service suspended. At least what AT&T does is they make it so that that phone can never be used again, even with a new SIM card. And let me tell you, it gave me a surreptitious kind of glee to know that the thief was not going to be able to sell my phone as a working phone. They can still sell it for parts, but that phone will never work again. Made me super happy in the midst of my irritation and rage to at least screw them back out of a sale of the phone. So those are a couple tips, actually. So make sure you report your phone stolen to your carrier, because they might be able to block the phone in that permanent kind of way. And then when I reactivated my new phone, I just had to go into AT&T and apply my phone number to this new phone, and off and running. Pain in the ass to reactivate all the apps, but it's what it is. But this episode is not about that. I just wanted to share some useful stuff that I learned by having my phone stolen. What this is about is not having a bad mood tank your life and tank your relationship. So needless to say, I was super irritated. I couldn't sleep well all that night. I was tossing and turning, super pissed off. So the next day, that Wednesday, was our last full day in Paris, and we had all these wonderful things planned to do, and I was super mopey and pissed about not having access to my camera and phone to do those things. However, silver lining, I had access to Patrick's phone. I finally learned his password because I have not been able to memorize it, but I used it enough times to take pictures that day that now I know it. So now we both know each other's passwords, which is great in a pinch if we ever need to borrow each other's phones. So that morning I was super crabby, and it really threatened to wreck the day. And Patrick was patient to a point, and then there came a moment where he was like, look, enough. We're here for one more day. Let's go have fun in the city. Let's go do the things we've planned to do. Let's have a good time. You can take pictures with my phone. We can airdrop them to your iPad. It's all good. Basically, suck it up. Let's turn this around. And he was right. In the moment, I was like, Ma, you're not leaving me. But he was right. And I will say that it was hard for me to turn on a dime. It was hard for me in the hotel room to just shift my state. And I want you to recognize that sometimes it's probably hard for you too to shift your state, even though the shifting of the state is what actually is called for and necessary. It can be hard to do. But what actually did shift my state eventually was getting outside, going and seeing some cool stuff. We went and did a bateau mouche, and we saw the city from the water and took pictures of the cool buildings and the Eiffel Tower and all the things. And then we walked through town. And yeah, I'm not going to say that my mood shifted 100% perfectly. We did get into a little bit of a spat on the walk because I still had a lot of irritation bristling in my system, which he's extremely sensitive to and didn't have the bandwidth to metabolize. And so he got reactive in a spot where normally he probably wouldn't get reactive. But it was because I was bristling all day. And finally, with that spat, we agreed to be silent, walk for a few blocks, 5 minutes or so in silence, and then talked it through, and then went on with the day and had fun. So I'm breaking down the anatomy of this situation to illustrate a few things. Number one, when inconvenient and stressful stuff happens, have some grace for yourself. You could warn the people around you like, hey, I'm pissed that this thing happened. I need a little time. I'm going to be irritated for a while, so don't test me. Like, now is not the time to test my ability to stay spacious, because I'm not spacious. You can warn the people around you like, hey, I'm super irritated right now because this thing happened. Like, I need a little space. And then you decide, do you want to shift your state or not? Like, you don't have 100% control over how long you feel mopey. Some of it is nervous system dependent. However, you have more control than you think. You do not have to be the victim of your own nervous system. You can do things to shift it. And some great ways to shift your nervous system, again, once you decide that that's a priority, if you want to stay mopey, stay mopey. It's all good. I suggest you warn the people around you that that's what's happening. However, once you decide, okay, I no longer want to be in this state, like I'm ready to have a shift and like my life again, breathing exercises are super helpful. You could do a box breathing, which is where you inhale, hold, exhale, and hold for the same 4 counts. So like inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, hold the exhale out. That's creating the box with the 4 sides of your breath. That's a great way to settle your nervous system. Do several rounds of that, and you'll already feel your nervous system begin to shift. Activates your vagus nerve. It gets you out of your high stress state and begins to settle things down. Now, sometimes you're so irritated that doing a breathing exercise feels like nails on a chalkboard. You're just not going to do it. Then, in that case, you may need to shake it out, or dance it out, or move it out, or do some kind of pound a pillow, whatever. You might need to do some kind of strong physical activity to move the energy like that. Masturbation could also help. If it seems helpful to you, you could change your state by changing your environment. It was super helpful to me to get out of the hotel room where we had been handling all this phone logistics and into the world, into the city, into taking in beauty and being curious about my environment, putting my attention out. Oftentimes when we're pissed and ragey and mopey, our attention is inward. Our attention is in on our own experience, on the upset, on the ways we feel victimized, on how we feel hurt. So a way to shift your state is actually to put your attention out. Go look at something beautiful. Put yourself out in nature. Feel the ocean breeze if that's nearby. Go to an animal rescue and pet some puppies, whatever it is. Get your attention out. And very often your state will start to shift because you're no longer looping in your head about this thing that has you pissed or sad or hurt or upset. Ultimately, what I want to say is you have more power to shift your state than you probably believe. You don't have to shift your state if you don't want to. You are still a good person if you want to stay mopey and mad and ragey for days. That's your prerogative. It's okay. I chose to shift because it was my last day in Paris and I wanted to have fun with my fiancé. So it took a minute. It wasn't easy. And he gave me grace for a certain amount of time. And then he was like, okay, enough. Like, please shift now because I want to have a fun day. And I respect that. I really respect that. And so hopefully you never have your phone stolen in a foreign country. Hopefully, if your phone is stolen in a foreign country, you are traveling with somebody who has a phone, because this whole thing would have been so much harder if I'd been by myself. And even just getting home that day would have been hard. That night, in the middle of the night, getting home would have been hard without any phone at all. So wishing you all good things, no thefts, easy travel, and when the shit hits the fan and things go down that are not to your liking, give yourself grace. Let the people know around you that you care about, that you're in a state and you need some time and you might need some space, and decide to shift your state when you're ready so that you're not taking it out on the people you love the most and who love you the most, which then creates long-term wreckage, residual wreckage. As best as possible, try not to take it out on them, but let them know, like, hey, I'm in a shitty mood. I might be snippy with you. Don't take it personally. Just let them know that in advance, and then do what it takes. Decide how you want to shift your state. Are you going to move your body? Are you going to get out and be in nature or look at something beautiful, watch a movie, do something? Are you going to put your attention out in the form of interaction with people or animals that feels good? What works for you to shift your state when you're in a bad mood so that you can both honor the mood, honor yourself, and not stay there longer than necessary and not create a bunch of wreckage in the meantime till you manage to shift. Again, this has been When You're in a Bad Mood. I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly. You've been listening to Relationship Alchemy, and you're invited to take my quiz. I have a beautiful quiz for women, mature, really grown-ass women, called your Grown-Ass Power Quiz, which is all about identifying your passion body archetype. You'll learn more about the passion body when you take the quiz, but really I've identified multiple archetypes of the type of woman we tend to fall into and what the strengths are of that archetype and what needs to be worked with to have more power, to be in our power and clarity and magnetism as we move forward in life, especially if we're having a what's next kind of moment where what you've been striving for no longer feels fulfilling or satisfying, or maybe your marriage isn't going so great, or your relationship isn't going so great. Really, that's the time to activate your deeper power. And part of it involves managing your state and learning to honor yourself where you are, and also choose when you're ready to move in the direction you desire. You can find the link to that quiz down below. Again, that's for women, typically over 40, but some women hit this spot early, and you're invited to take it too. And until next time, remember that a great relationship and a great life starts with you.